Hello, hello! So today we are making this fun, simple pumpkin wreath from the pumpkin frame from Dollar Tree. Super easy to make with flowers, also from Dollar Tree. I pretty much think everything on this wreath is from Dollar Tree. So let's get started on what you need. So for this project, you are going to need the frame from Dollar Tree. Of course, they are hard to come by, but you might want to try another craft store like Hobby Lobby, maybe Michael's, maybe Joann Fabric. I have not really looked for them anywhere else. When I found, I grabbed two. I know that people are grabbing cases of them. They probably sell at craft shows and things like that, but maybe because they are just starting to come out, you'll be able to find one. So that is the first item. You're going to need some twine because this is in the Dollar Tree tool section. I know they have it at my store there, but we're going to use the twine for the top stem here. But you could take a bunch of twigs from the yard and you can glue them all together and make your stem that way, add two flowers, and that would be really fun too. You are going to need 3 of these foam blocks. You need 3 though. I don't think you could get away with any less, and I think that these are the best choice to do this project. So if you come up with something else, I always say go for it and try something different. But these are, it looks like a 1-pack, but there's actually 4 little ones in here, but we're using them whole just the way they are. You're going to need some foam board. They do sell it at Dollar Tree. It does need to be foam board. It cannot be that flimsy poster board because it won't be strong enough to hold the weight of everything. So you got to make sure that it's foam board. And then you're going to need a bunch of flowers or leaves or whatever it is that you choose to do. And some of you will say, well, how many stems do I need? It's really going to depend on which flowers you use. And all those things are going to come into play because some are bigger, some are smaller. So you kind of have to estimate it, but I would say anywhere from 9 to 12 bunches because, of course, you're going to cut them all down. And I'm going to show you that. And then you need a hot glue gun and some snips. They may have snips like this at Dollar Tree. I'm not real sure. These are mine. Or you can get the kitchen shears that have this little groove in them because it does make it really easy to cut. So I'm just going to show you. If you put it between the little open right here and you cut it, it's pretty easy to cut it off. So these work great too if you can't find any snips. And let's get started on how to make this simple flower pumpkin wreath. The first thing you want to do is take your foam board and you want to take your pumpkin and you want to put it on here as close to the top as possible because you don't want to waste it. So you're only going to use maybe less than a little bit of half. And you're going to put it on here and you're going to put it down and you're going to trace the inside of the pumpkin. So you're going to go all the way around, and because this is foam board, when you're tracing it, it's going to be pretty deep because it's going to give an indentation, and you just go all the way around the inside of the pumpkin. So you trace that out. Once you have that completely traced out, you're going to have this. So it's a pumpkin on foam board. And that is how we are going to hot glue this into the inside of this. But before we do that, what we're going to do is we are going to twine this top portion and get this out of the way. So we're just going to take a little bit of hot glue on here. And this is a really, really simple wreath. If you wanted to do this in a retirement home or something like that, you may have to help them get started. But after that, it would be pretty easy to do. So I put a little bit of hot glue there, and I'm going to put a little hot glue here, and we're hoping that I can just twine this up without having to add a bunch of hot glue. I do like the idea of the twigs because I think it would look really natural that way. So you're just going to start twining this up. And you can see that is working pretty good. It doesn't really matter how neat it is because, of course, a pumpkin stem is just not, it is riding up on it. That's the only thing. So we might have to put a little bit of hot glue here and there as we go, just so that it doesn't ride up on us. Okay. Give that a second to dry. You can see it's smoking. I don't want to burn my fingers like I always do. So there, now it won't ride up anymore. we can come down, and you get 3 packs for 3 rolls, I should say, for $1, so you don't really have to be cheap with it. Okay, so this is fun and it's quick. This is a really quick wreath. Okay, so now that we're getting to the top, we're going to have to add some more hot glue. Okay. So that it sticks here as we're going. Okay. Okay, so we have the top part done. I might add just a little bit more, like scrunch it up and add it in there so that it's done, but I'm also going to add some leaves here, so that will make a difference when I'm done. So now that we have this piece cut out, make sure you have it the right way before we do our next step. So for instance, I had the price tag on the back. I know this is the back side. I know this is going to fit perfect, and because you don't want to have to pull these off once we get them on here. So since we have it the right way, what we are going to do is take our 3 blocks and we are going to glue them inside our frame. So we're going to put 3 of them. 1, 2, 3. And our frame is going over this. Okay, so we're gluing these inside here. I got this upside down. So let me put the camera down so that you can see what I'm doing. So, again, make sure that you have this the correct way. So this is my back side, because you don't want to have to re-glue these, and it looks like this. Okay, so we have it the right side up. Now, some of you may want to leave the plastic on here. The only reason, I guess we can try it, because they're going to stay together regardless. So we want to make sure that we have them where they're going to be, because it doesn't matter. We're just poking the flowers in here. I just want to make sure that the hot glue melts this plastic so that it doesn't fall apart. Although, once this is on and glued on, these really can't come out. So just make sure. Now, some of you may want to divide things up a little bit and spread these out, but make sure that you have them positioned where this is going to fit over it. So does that make sense? So you want to make sure that this fits over it when we're doing it. So I'm going to take the chance and I am going to glue these on with the plastic, because it is melting my plastic right now. See how it's melting my plastic? And I'm okay with that. It's actually sizzling. Do you hear it sizzling? Okay, so we have one on. And I'm just double checking before I add the next one that I have it in the right spot before I keep adding more. Okay, so I'm just kind of testing myself to make sure I have it where I need it. And I'm guesstimating all of this. So our first one is really glued down. See, it's not coming up. Now we can do our next one. So this is working. If you want to do it this way, because this green foam for floral it falls apart and it kind of makes a mess. So I kind of like the fact that we can leave the plastic on and you won't have a mess all over. Okay, so that one's done. And then we just want to make sure that our last one is here and pretty good. So we want to make sure, you know, your spacing here, just kind of estimate it. It's going to be okay no matter what you do. And, you know, just kind of eyeball it here. It's like 1 fingertip length. Okay, so now we have that all done. And now what we're going to do is we're going to hot glue this. Let me cut this tag off of here. I know some of you always look and ask for the SKU number. So that is the SKU. If you are looking, you might be able to use your scanner and just scan the code. This is for the Dollar Tree wreath. So if you go in the store, maybe they can tell you where they're located, or maybe order some online. I didn't see any, but just in case, there's the SKU. And now what we're going to do is we're going to flip it this way, and we are going to start to glue this in. So you're going to put it in this crease all the way around. So be careful, don't burn your fingers, and kind of press it up as you're going. And just hold it in place for a minute while it's starting to hot glue. And you do have to make sure, as I always tell all of you, that it has to be hot glue, because a lot of people have different temperature hot glue guns and they don't realize it. If you go to the craft store, you'll notice there's low, there's medium, there's cold, there's hot. So you have to have the right gun with the right glue sticks. Otherwise, this is not going to hold right for you. Now, the other thing to consider is the temperature of where this is facing. Because I've had people say, if you live in a really hot state, even in October, some people, some people live where it's extremely hot, so you don't want this to melt on you. So what you could do is maybe lay it down and use an E6000 or something. I don't really have that problem, so it doesn't bother me so much. But you might want to consider that. I've never had an issue with any wreath melting, and I put them in my attic, which is really hot when it's 90 to 100 degrees, and I've never had one fall apart. But I also don't have it hanging in the direct sunlight, so that's something else to consider. So you can see, the backside doesn't really matter. It's, you know, everybody, sometimes when they sell them, that might be an issue, so you might want to clean it up a little bit. But if you wanted to, and you were selling these, you could take some of the thicker rope, and you can rope this out if you wanted to. That's entirely up to you. So these, I usually give these away, and I'll probably give these to my son's girlfriend for her family. They love the handmade wreaths, and they're the first in their neighborhood to get the originals. Okay, so look, if you're holding it, you can see that it's going right in the trim, and it's going to hold this all in place. So that's all you have to, and it pops in kind of like a puzzle. Because you traced it on the inside, it's really good. And then all you have to do is start adding your flowers. And the reason I'm going all the way around is because, of course, I don't want it to, if I just did sections of it, I don't know if it's going to hold it correctly. So I want to make sure that I get it all evenly everywhere around. So we're popping this in, we're making sure it's snug. You can see it's pretty quick. So this is probably the part that someone might need help with if you did some type of a class. Okay, we're going to give this a second to dry, and then we're going to move on to our flowers. So our wreath is pretty much all done. Look at everything is stable, everything is glued into place, and now all we have to do is cut down our flowers, and you want to give yourself a stem that you can work with, because all you're going to do is we're just going to start sticking these into the foam. That's all we're doing. And so some can be a little bit smaller, some can be a little bit bigger, and you of course want to go to the edge of the frame here. And this is what I mean about the size of your flowers. So some might be, sticking out a little bit further, some might be a little bit less. And then all you have to do is either use your clippers or these shears from Dollar Tree, and you want to cut them so that you have enough length. Now when you get to the center part, if they're too long, you can always trim them. So that's all you have to do for this fun, simple wreath. And we're just going to keep filling it in. I have a bunch of them already cut. So here's one that seems kind of long, but again, you want to make sure that it's pushed all the way in. So you want to make sure that you give yourself enough length to start out, but when you push in, you want it to hit the back of your foam. So here is some little apples. Oops. So I had all of these pre-cut and ready to go. And we're just going to keep adding these in, adding these in. So when you're pushing them in, make sure that they're covering up the frame. So if you got to come back a little bit and add more flowers there, then that's what you want to do. You want to make sure that all of this is getting filled in so that you can't see our frame. So you can move things around. And that's what's nice about this. If you put this in storage and you need to remove a few flowers, you can. You're going to add leaves. So if you wanted to do one type of flower, you most certainly could, but I just thought it would be fun to have it filled out with a bunch of different flowers. So I'm going to complete our wreath. I know a lot of people like for me to stay on and do everything at once, but I always feel like I'm boring those that want to get to the end and see what's up. So I don't want to hold anybody up. So I'll just add a few more in here to give you the idea of what I'm doing. So you can see I have a variety of flowers, and I will be back to show you the finished project. So we are all finished putting our flowers in, and as you can see, I had one of the Thankful left from the signs from Dollar Tree. They come in a 3-pack. I also had a little scarecrow left, so I thought I'd stick him in there. Of course, for this, all I did was add a little bit of hot glue to the backside, and I extended our stem a little bit because it was kind of short. So I had a little piece of wood. All I did was glue it to our frame and twine back up with our twine. For the hanging, all I did was take our twine and I made it long enough so that I had 4 strands. I glued it here, and I added little leaves over it so that it was nice and secure in place. Remember, use foam board so it's nice and thick and nothing falls off on you. You can see here's our extra piece of wood that I just twined up. This is the back side. And you can hang this on a wall, you can hang this on a door. I thought it was really adorable. Again, we used 12 of the flowers depending on the size that you're going to use. So if you're using bigger flowers, 12 should be enough. If you're going to go with smaller flowers or leaves, you're going to need a lot more. So this wreath cost about $15. Some people ask, what would you charge? I would say $30, $35, maybe even $40, because you have to cut everything down. There are a lot of flowers. There's a lot of work involved. Took me only about an hour to make it, but you also want to pay yourself and you don't want to lose any money, especially if you're doing these little embellishments as well. So I hope that you'll subscribe, and if you're going to recreate this wreath, please share the video. I know many times I see my recreations, but nobody will tell anybody where they found it, and I think that it's the only right thing to do. I follow a lot of crafters, and I love to mention their names, especially on my Facebook page, because they do a wonderful job, and I'm actually going to do a video and share some of my favorite crafters really soon. So please subscribe, and if you have the frame to make your own, have fun and keep searching, because there are still items coming out for fall at a lot of Dollar Trees. This past weekend I even seen more items coming out. So until the next one, have a great day. Bye now.